This is not the cheapest one on Amazon. However, I believe it's the most complete, and I'll show you why. One chainsaw that I regret selling, and they are full chisel chains. Wasn't intending on necessarily liking it, but I do. Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. My name is Joe, and I have some exciting news for you. I've owned quite a few chainsaws over the last few years. There's one chainsaw that I regret selling, and today I think I found a replacement for it. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at it. I mentioned that I had one saw that I regretted selling, and the reason why is in a few videos you may have seen me climbing trees and cutting with a saw. I didn't realize how much of an issue it was to cut with a rear handle saw. When I'm climbing a tree, I want a top handle. I was contemplating buying an Echo CS2511T. Aaron Lynch had just ported one and I was being tempted. However, I am not gonna use a top handle in most circumstances other than climbing. I prefer a rear handle saw for most groundwork. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I've partnered here with Proyama. They have sent me this, okay? So I did not purchase this item, but I was very selective in who I wanted to work with on this saw, and I'll show you why here in a moment. I have a video where I was talking about not all Chinese or not all clone saws are created equal. There's been some improvements on this format of saw, so this includes those improvements. This is not the cheapest one on Amazon. However, I believe it's the most complete, and I'll show you why. Just looking at this for the first time here, let's take a look at how this looks. All right, here, so we've got a manual, parts list, and all that. One thing I like is that this saw includes a bar. Not every clone saw you purchase has a bar. This is gonna look pretty familiar with the other one I had, pretty similar. 3/8, 12-inch bar. Has some sort of bag for the saw. Now, I don't know if this is specific to this saw. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Toolkit with dog, Torx, scrinch, bar nuts. This looks like an actual good tuning screwdriver, actually. I've had some really cheap toolkits on some of these saws. If you guys have ever done any clone saw stuff or anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if this file's gonna be particularly good. I'll give that a shot at some point. It says it's a 3/16 file. Okay, so check this out, everybody. This saw doesn't come with one chain, it comes with two. And they are full chisel. They are full chisel chains. This is not the cheapest type of chain. You'll see that later on in an upcoming video. There's different qualities of chains out there. I think that these look to be a good quality. Of course, I haven't run this yet, so I don't know what it's truly gonna be like. Two chains. Got our side cover. Guys, listen. One of the things I talked about was the quality of the different saws. I can tell you right now, the plastics on this feel very good. The color's good. The fit and finish appears to be pretty good. I'm not feeling anything real rough. This feels good. That's a win. Sticker's a little bit off here. One thing I'd like to see improved on quality is that kind of stuff. Do you have a sheath? Which I've actually become a fan of using these now. I never used to, but I am now. If you're familiar with clone saws, you're familiar with these. I'm probably not going to utilize this, but it includes it if you need it. All right, now for the real bit of the saw here. Okay. So let's take a look. It's been a while since I've used one of these. I can tell you right now that a difference versus my last one is that this has two bar studs. This is the Proyama PCS26. You got your oil and fuel. Shows 40-to-1. That's nice because that's what I'm going to run it on. 40-to-1. We've got our place to hook our lanyard, outboard clutch, It shows that there's an adjustable oiler on it. There's an oil adjustment screw under there. All right, so one thing I feel here is we've got rubber mounts right here, anti-vibe mount. This one right here feels a little bit loose. No flex at all anymore. So I was able to just slightly turn those in. There we go. Now that feels more like it ought to me. So let's take a look here at the airbox. Okay, we've got a typical mesh type. Okay, there's foam in there. That's cool. I like that. That's different than I believe my last one, if I recall correctly. What's nice about this, I actually did this modification on my own on one of the clone saws I had because the mesh just didn't do a real good job. What I actually did is I took a piece of foam and shoved it in there just to try to create a little bit finer of a filter. So I think that's pretty good. Spark plug there, our choke lever. Let's go ahead and pop this back on. Oh, it looks like there's even a gasket. There's a gasket on the back side of this. I don't know if that's exactly, you know what that probably is? That probably keeps it from loosening, I bet. It probably creates a little bit of friction in there. That's a nice addition. There we go. So there we go. We want to make sure that that is seated down there properly. Let's go ahead and open up one of the chains here. I'm going to keep this one in the box. We'll go ahead and open up this one here. Let's take a look at the chain first thing. I just watched Indiana Doug. He did a review on Duke's chain, and I was pretty impressed with the chain. The value is absolutely there, but then when you look at the quality of the chain on the camera, it looked phenomenal. Let's kind of look at this one in light of what Doug was noticing on that Duke's chain. And again, this saw is not going to see the service that my regular 3/8 chain is going to see because I'm only going to use this probably in the tree primarily. So we've got nice full chisel cutters. That's always welcome. One thing I love to see is I like to see the gauge there for the angle. That helps me out a lot as I file. We've got dimples and holes and divots in here to catch oil. So there we are. We got a good side chain tensioner. That's nice. One thing that I noticed here is you have like brass inserts on the cover here. That's pretty nice. I like that. I've seen cheaper. All this stuff feels like nice. This all feels nice. Now, assuming this thing runs real well, this thing's going to be a win. Make sure we're not binding up. As with all chainsaws. Now, this is the one thing I absolutely love. Double bar nuts. I love that. My last one had a single nut. It worked okay, but I just like this better. It makes sense to me. So we're going to go ahead and rest it like we do on everything. Let's see how this feels. Okay, good. It's a little tight right now, but it's a new chain, so it should be fine. Thread that on. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Let's just take a look at this. Honestly, don't know if this is specific to this saw or if they're all one size. See if this is something that's going to be usable or not. This actually might be specific to this saw. It looks pretty small. Huh. Huh. You want to use the bar sheath on this. I was thinking about if you had a saw for like a truck saw or something like this could be worthwhile if you're going to put it in the trunk of a vehicle or in the back of a truck. Let's see how this fits in here. Look at that. This is very specific to this saw. Now, if this leaks oil or anything, I wonder if it would help keep it in. That's pretty, actually that's better than I thought it would be. All right, let's go ahead and see how this fits. Guys, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I know many people probably are not going to use this, but there might be somebody that really finds value in that. You know, you could throw that on your shoulder and carry it out. That's not bad, honestly. Again, for the vehicle, that might be cool. I wasn't intending on necessarily liking it, but I do. Now that sheath is going to want to stay inside of there. That may not be a bad place for it, actually. Yeah, I guess you could just pull it off and leave it in there. We got rubber gaskets on both of these. That's good. Take some 40-to-1. Make sure we get it in the fuel side. Have any of you ever put bar oil in the fuel tank or vice versa? I'm going to say I have, especially on a saw like this. I'm going to fill it up because I'm going to be using this soon. I have a project in mind. All right, we're full. See if we can do the bar oil without it being a disaster. I've already spilled. I think we're going to just stop it there. So this is going to be first start. If this is first start, I have not. You can see there's no fuel in the fuel bulb there. There's no fuel in the fuel bulb. Let's go ahead and pump this up. Okay, we've already circulated some fuel into the system. All right, so we're full. Now we got a choke. We're going to pull up on choke. Make sure it's on. Okay, was that 3 pulls? Okay, now we're going to go to... It looks like there's like 3 positions here, but technically there's no detent. Okay, let's go ahead and give it another. I'm going to go ahead and restart this because I failed so miserably on the very first go-around. This saw's been sitting outside, nice and cold. Let's see how well she starts now. Go ahead and give it a pump. I think what I did on that last one, everybody, is when it started fast idling, I should have just let it run. Instead, I blipped the throttle to bring it down. That was a mistake. So I'm going to choke it. Well, there's the one choke. Again, this is cold. It's been probably about 40 minutes or so since I turned it off. So let's go ahead and go. I'm going to go halfway. Go ahead and turn it off and then back on. Redeeming value. Again, my failure to start this easily was my fault, not the saws. I just wanted to clarify that. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the video so that way you guys can see that. Okay, so looks like we're getting oil on here. Let's see how it starts up now that I've already warmed it up a little bit. Easy. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up my chain a little bit because we'll make some cuts.
How many cc's is that?
26.
That sounds exactly like the CS310 modded saw.
Just tighten that up a hair. You just saw me start that up over there. I have a suspicion that as time goes on, this is gonna start better. Guys, it is probably about 25 degrees right now. First start, I probably could do that better. Unfortunately, I didn't capture it real well. I don't think this is gonna be a hard starting saw. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip it on. That's easy. I don't think we need to mess with any carb settings. I think that out of the box, let's just see how it works. Bar. Take a look here. I think I'm pretty impressed with the performance of that, guys. For the price of this saw, if you're needing a top handle, I don't see a reason not to go with this. With 2 chains, the build quality feels good. The sticker's centered on this side. It doesn't have any weird branding, which I like. No weird cute slogans. Nothing like that. It says that it has a 3,000 RPM idle speed. So it's probably idling where it wants to. It's definitely on the faster side from what I'm used to. But again, the chain is not spinning. Let's go ahead and start this up. Easy. So I believe that this saw outperforms probably my stock CS310, which is far more expensive. It's a rear handle Echo saw with a nice 5-year warranty, but again, this is less expensive. It's smaller. This has a purpose for me, and I'm going to be using this because whenever I put my hooks on to climb a tree, this is what's coming with me, not a rear handle. I've used my rigid saw. It was a nice small saw with a 12-inch bar, but it just was not good to reach up and do this sort of action. The Echo CS2511T, great saw, but you're talking about $500 stock, plus taxes, right? This can be had for much less. I will link this in my description. I am an Amazon affiliate. I'm going to be using this. You're going to see this used anytime I'm climbing, and I might pull it out here and there when I'm not climbing because it might just be a nice handy saw. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. Easy to start. Let me see if I don't have to drop it. Okay. Oh, I got to turn it on. That would help. It's easy. Up in the tree, I could have this off of a lanyard. Pick it up. I don't have to keep it running because it's going to start easy. I will say this is not a knock on this saw, it's just the design. I found that when I was wearing gloves, when I had more of a thick leather glove, my leather caught this switch pretty easily because of its location. Now it's very nice that it's right there because it's accessible. But that's just one thing I've always noticed about this design. This right here feels like a good quality piece. I think that there's been improvements to this format. The plastic quality looks awesome on this. This looks, if you put another name on here, honestly, if this had a more of a brand name on it, it would be pretty darn close to being realistic. You know, you do have a couple little bit of sharp plastics here, but guys, this thing overall is fantastic. Let's go take a look at where I'm going to use this at first. I'm trying to get to a place where I'm expanding my shed, and in order to do that I got to take down this white oak. And when I take down the white oak, I want to climb it and limb it. This saw right here is going to come with me up this tree, and I will use this saw. I will cut the limbs off, reduce the top of this so then I can fall the stem separately. I'll probably get up there and cut the top off, let it fall that way. And on my way up, I'll just take all the nubs and limbs off, and then I'll go ahead and fall my stump with a larger saw. But this will do all of that, no problem at all. We're gonna, just for comparison's sake, we're gonna look at this stock Echo CS310. Slightly different bar and chain setup, but this is how this saw would come out of the big box store or your local dealership. You're looking at $220-ish plus tax for a saw like this. Okay, now I've done extensive reviews on this. I have a modified one that runs really good, but this is just going to show you stock Echo 310 with this is a similar, well, it's actually more cc's than this and a different format, but this will just give you some perspective here. We're gonna do 2 cuts, down and up. Again, if you want to see this saw run and a version of this thing absolutely blow this away, I've got a video on that. But this is what you're looking at on a stock CS310. Guys, this is not about racing saws. This is a saw with a purpose. And this purpose, again, like I said, is to have a top handle to be able to climb my trees. This will work perfectly for me for the time being. Would I like to have a ported CS2511T? I sure would, but that's an $800 saw. This right here, for less than $150 right here, will suffice for me. There's no reason not to use this. It's gonna work great. Again, I do have links in my description on this saw just so you can see the current pricing. And keep in mind, when you're shopping these, this saw here is a complete package. It has the bar and 2 chains. That's why I like this particular model, is the 2 chains, and it for sure has the full chisel, 2 of them. That's awesome. That's the way to go. When I bought my last one, it was the John Cutter brand. I had to pay quite a bit of money for the power head, and then I had to buy the bar and chains separate. Okay, that ended up being far more expensive than this, and this has the improvements like the double bar studs and also the foam and the filter. So I'm pretty happy with that. Good. Awesome budget saw. I think the quality looks good. And again, I will let you guys know with time. I'll let you know how this works. This is just the initial review. I don't have hours on this. That's easy. That initial start. Once this cools down, I will go ahead and restart this thing and make use of it. I don't think I'm gonna have a problem starting it. I just had a problem starting a saw I never have problems with. So there's something about me today. It's because I'm supposed to be going to work here in just a little bit. I think that's what it is. Guys, this is Joe on the Okie Woodsman channel. Thank you for watching. Make sure you let us know you're here, and I'll see you on the next one.